everyone, Chelsea here. Welcome back to another yoga class and welcome back to my backyard. So today what you will need is a yoga mat or something that will prevent you from slipping on whatever surface you're on. You'll need some yoga blocks or whatever faux yoga blocks you have, a pasta box, stack of books, or maybe the larger cans. You'll need a strap, or if you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a belt or a scarf, and then a beach blanket or a beach towel, anything like that. Just will help cushion your knees if you need it. So hold on to whatever strap you have and just let it come around your neck. Today we're going to work on some grounding poses. Just feel a little more grounded, a little more centered. It helps me whenever I'm feeling a little flustered. So to start, we'll start standing. Your feet will be hips width. And just from the beginning, we're gonna lift all 10 toes up off the ground. As you lift all 10 toes up, you'll feel the rest of your foot grounding down. So the four corners of your feet are all grounding down. Then gently let your feet come back, or your toes come back down to the mat. As you ground down in your feet, find some length in the torso. And as you lengthen your torso, check out your shoulders. Make sure they're rolling back, your chest is nice and open. To help with that, let your arms rest by your sides, palms can face forward. Keep a nice open chest, some nice posture. Okay, so finding that length from the grounding down, rooting down in the feet, you lengthen up. So as all that's lengthening up, find the crown of your head lengthening up towards the sky. And close your eyes. Beginning to connect with your breath. Feeling your lungs expand with each inhale. And deflate with each exhale. And with each inhale, try and inhale positivity. And with each exhale, just letting go of any negative thoughts that might be flowing through your mind. Just put them aside. And letting one hand rest on your chest, the other onto your stomach. And taking this time to set an intention for your practice. So whatever you would like to take away from the mat today. And it's going to be as simple as just breathing through it. It doesn't have to be anything grand. And then slowly flutter your eyes back open. Let your arms come down by your sides. Holding on to that strap, so moving it around. And if you have a strap with a metal ring or a belt with a buckle, make sure you hold on to that side. So one hand will hold on to the strap and the buckle, just so you don't whack yourself in the face. The other hand will come to the strap as well. So your hands will be a little bit wider than shoulders width. On an inhale, let the arms stretch up towards the sky. Finding some length as you stretch up. On an exhale, start to bend towards the left. And as you're bending towards the left, keep grounding down in that right foot. Inhale back through center. Then exhale, bend to the right. Grounding down, especially in that left foot. So evenly grounding down in both feet. Inhale, come back through center. We're going to start to just do some circles. So moving the arms and the strap around. These circles can look different on anybody, for everybody. So making these circles as big or as small as you'd like. So sometimes it feels good to add a little fold into it. So just moving wherever you need to be moving. It can be as simple as just standing, just moving the arms around. And wherever you are, the next time you come through center, just reverse the direction of the circles. warms up the body a bit, opens opens up the shoulders, opens up the side body. And then the next time you come through center, let the arms stretch up towards the sky and release them down by your sides. So then you'll just move the strap off to the side. You won't need it for the rest of practice. You'll take your blocks or whatever you have and bring them to the highest height at the top of your mat. Let them be shoulders width. And then come to stand directly behind the blocks. Feet or hips width, grounding down evenly in both feet. On an inhale, let your arms stretch up. Exhale, hinging from your hips, fold over the legs. Hands come down to the blocks. Inhale, come halfway up, hands to the thighs. Exhale, fold back over. Inhale, come back up to standing. Hands down through prayer at heart center. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hinging from your hips, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway up, hands to the thighs. Exhale, fold back over. Inhale, come back up to standing. Exhale, hands down through prayer. So we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms stretch up. Exhale, hinging from the hips, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway, hands to the thighs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come back up to standing. Hands down through prayer at heart center. And this last time we'll hold at the bottom. So inhale, arms stretch up. Exhale, hinging from the hips, fold over. Inhale, halfway up. This time, exhale, come back to the fold and we'll stay here. And give a slight bend to the knees, let your head just be heavy. And then give a really good bend to the knees. Step the right foot back, bring the knee down, and then step the left knee back to meet it. Bring your hands down to the mat. You can move the blocks off to the side for now. Over there. So, coming into a tabletop, your knees will be directly underneath your hips. You can use a blanket or a beach towel underneath if you have any knee issues. Hands will be directly underneath the shoulders, fingers spreading wide. The toes can be tucked or untucked, so whatever feels best for you. Starting with some cat-cows. On an inhale, let the stomach drop, gaze comes forward, cow pose. Exhale, rounding the spine, look towards the belly button for cat. Inhale for cow, pulling your chest through. Exhale for cat, rounding the spine. We'll do 2 more rounds. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Last round, inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Inhale, come to a neutral spine. Let your hands walk back towards your knees, so you're coming up on your knees. I'm gonna face you, stay where you are. This is where a blanket would come in handy because we're gonna put all our weight onto one knee. So we'll step the left leg out to the side. So make sure that the leg is coming directly out of the hip, so it's not in front of you, it's not behind you. You're gonna come to the heel of the foot so the toes point up. Hips will be facing, for you, the side of the mat. So we're coming into gate pose. Let your left hand rest on the thigh, right arm stretches up towards the sky. On an exhale, start to bend to the left. You'll get a nice stretch all on that left leg. Feel it in the groin. Good. It's just a nice opener. And keep flexing the left foot. And then inhale, bring it back up through center. Let your hands come onto your hips. You're gonna bend into the left knee so that the knee falls over the ankle. So this is a modified warrior 2. So the knee is over the ankle. If this gets a little awkward with the back, with the right leg, you can always tuck the back toes as a little support. So go wherever you need to be. The left hand will rest on the thigh. Right arm stretches up. Good, and then stretch that left arm up. Bring your gaze over the middle finger of that left hand. And then keeping a bend in that front knee, let the right hand come to your hip, flip the left palm up, reverse your warrior. So keeping the legs as they are, just letting the body bend to the right. And then inhale, come back, warrior two. Hands come to the hips, and you'll slowly come out of the bend and bring the knee back. If you need to wiggle, feel free. So switching sides. So this time letting that right leg come out to the side, coming onto the heel of the foot. So making sure that that leg is not in front of you or behind you. It's right in line with the hip. Good. So hips are facing the side of the mat. Your right hand will rest on the thigh. Left arm stretches up towards the sky. On an exhale, start to bend towards that leg. Breathing into the right leg. Breathing into that left side body. And keep flexing the foot that's on the ground. Just keep the leg nice and active. And then inhale, come back through center. We'll bend into that right knee now. So the foot comes down to the mat. The knee is directly over the ankle. So hips are still facing the side of your mat. Keep the right hand where it is. Just let that left arm come out to the side to start. And then bring the right arm up. Bring your gaze over the middle finger of that right hand. So we will do the full warrior two pose later in practice, so you'll see the difference between the two. Reversing our warrior now. So bring the left hand to the hip, right palm flips up. On an exhale, stretch back for reverse warrior. So keeping a bend in that front knee, just using your torso to give you a nice side bend. And then inhale, bring it back. Hands to the hips, slowly come out of the bend of that right knee and bring the knee back down to the mat. If you need to wiggle, feel free. And we'll make our way back to a tabletop position. So hands are underneath the shoulders, fingers spread wide, knees are hip width. On an inhale, let the stomach drop, gaze comes up, cow pose. Exhale, round the spine for cat. Inhale to a neutral spine. On an exhale, send your hips back towards your heels for child's pose. So this is one option. Another option is keeping the knees where they are, let the hands walk way forward. And then slowly let the hips head back. They will not touch your heels, but you can use your hands to inch forward to get your head and chest a little bit lower. So you're still going to get the same benefits of stretching out the spine. And so these two poses, that's called puppy dog pose. The other one where the hips completely come down to the heels, that's called child's pose. Those are great poses to come to if you need to catch your breath, or if certain poses don't feel great. Just come right back to those. It's a spot to just recollect and take a moment. So on an inhale, come back up. We're going to make our way to a modified push-up position. So the knees are slightly behind the hips. Hips come slightly forward, so you're in a push-up position. On an exhale, come down through chaturanga, hugging the elbows by your sides. Let the hands come back so your wrists are in line with your ribs. Shoulders roll back, and on an inhale, pull head, neck, and chest up for low cobra. Exhale, push through a tabletop, tucking the toes for downward facing dog. So for your first downward dog, the hands are shoulder width, fingers spread wide. Feet are hips width. Give a bend to the knees, and as you bend the knees, let your hips head up towards the sky. Then maybe start to straighten the legs. It's okay if they're not fully straight. And then on an exhale, making your way to a forward fold. So wherever you need to get there, I walk forward. You can walk your hands back. You can come to a seat, come however you need to a standing forward fold using the blocks. Good, letting yourself hang over your legs. And then on an inhale, come halfway up with a flat back. Exhale, fold back over. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, come up to standing. Hands down through prayer at heart center. Good. So bringing the blocks, wherever they are, back to the top of your mat if they're not there. I'm going to incorporate my Wacky Wednesday video for class today. So coming to stand behind the blocks. Feet will be hips width. Have your hands just rest on your hips for now. Begin to bring your gaze or your drishti onto something steady. We're going to come into tree pose. So we'll ground down in the right foot. Slowly start to open that left knee out to the side. Option 1, the toes can stay on the mat, heel can rest on the ankle. So you can stay there if you're not, your balance is feeling a little wonky today, which everyone has those days. I think in my video I was very wobbly. So, going where you need to be and being humble about it. It's a very humbling experience. So you can leave it there, or let your foot come to the inner calf, or you can bring it up to the inner thigh. So wherever you need to be. And wherever you are, if you're on the inner calf or the inner thigh, especially, do not have any weight on the knee. So whenever you get to where you are, letting your hands come to prayer at heart center. Chest is nice and open, feeling that right foot grounding down, and as it grounds down, you're rising up to the sky. On an inhale, let the arms stretch up, open up the palms. And let the hands come back down through prayer. Let the knee point towards the center, maybe float the knee up for just a breath. And then we'll step it back for a lunge. Options here, you can leave this leg, the back knee lifted, or bring it down at any point. So going wherever you need to be. So if you bring the knee down, maybe bring a blanket for underneath the knee, or stay here. So if you stay with the knee lifted, give a bend to the knee, and as you bend the knee, feel your pelvis, my balance is off now, feel the pelvis hinge forward a bit. So try and maintain that tilt, and straighten the back leg. If as you straighten it though, you feel your pelvis tilt back, so you have an arch in the back, go back to a bent back knee. That front knee is over the ankle. Torso lengthens up, arms stretch up towards the sky. Breathing here. Bring the hands down through prayer, then to your hips. On an exhale, coming forward, bringing your hands to blocks. And if your back knee is lifted, bring it down. Keep the toes tucked. You'll have an option to up level. So with the right hand, bring the hand to the thigh. Grab onto your block and bring it to the medium height. Ground down in the hand. Wrist is directly underneath your shoulder. Find some length in the torso, and on an exhale, start to twist towards the right thigh. Staying here, maybe unwinding and opening that top arm up towards the sky. And from here, you can stay here. If you'd like more, with the back toes tucked, you can lift the back knee up. Letting the back thigh point up towards the sky, heel faces up. And if your back knee is lifted, bring the back knee down, unwind, bring both hands down to the blocks, and step the right knee back to meet the left. You can move the blocks back to the top of the mat, bring the hands to the mat. Setting up for your modified push-up position. So knees are slightly behind the hips. On an inhale, let the torso lengthen. Exhale, chaturanga, hugging the elbows by your sides. Grounding down in the pelvis, inhale up, low cobra, chest is open. Exhale, push through a table for downward facing dog. So creating that same action by bending the knees again, letting the hips head up towards the sky. And then maybe slowly straightening the legs. And on an exhale, making your way to a forward fold. So moving however you need to move to get there. And whenever you get there, give a good bend to the knees. Just grab onto opposite elbows and sway from side to side. And give a bend to the knees. This is great with any low back issues. This feels good, releases some tension. You could also use a golf club and hang, holding onto it, and swing. Another great option. So release your elbows, bring your hands back to the blocks. On an inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, folds back over. Inhale, come up to standing. Hands come down through prayer at heart center. Arms come down by your sides. Come back to the top of your mat if you're not already there. And if your blocks are not there, bring them back to the top at the highest height. Tree pose on the other side now. So hands to the hips, feet are hips width for now. Begin to bring your gaze or your drishti onto something steady. We'll ground down in the left foot now. When you're ready, start to open up the right knee. Option, keep the toes on the mat, heel comes to the left ankle. Option 2, to the inner calf. And option 3, and bring it up to the inner thigh. So wherever you land, just don't put any weight on your left knee. And in that standing leg, keep a slight bend to that knee. You never want to lock the knees. So feeling that left foot grounding down, rooting down, and your torso lengthening up, your crown of your head lengthening up. Let your hands come to prayer at heart center. And then inhale, let the arms stretch up towards the sky, separate the palms, finding just a little bit more length. And bringing your hands back down through prayer at heart center. Hands come onto the hips. Start to point that right knee forward. Maybe hover it up for just a moment and step the right foot back for lunge. So option again, you can always bring that right knee down in this lunge. And if you do that, maybe put a blanket under the knee. It's just going wherever you need to be. If your back knee is lifted, just like the other side, give a bend to the knee. And as you bend the knee, you'll feel your pelvis tilt forward a bit. Try and maintain that tilt and maybe straighten that back leg. But if as you straighten that back leg, you feel the tilt go in the opposite direction, just keep bending into the back knee. Front knee is over the ankle, arms stretch up towards the sky. And breathe. Let your hands come down through prayer at heart center. Then release your hands down to the blocks, bringing that back knee down. So for both, letting your block, your right hand block, come down to the medium height. Left hand will come to the thigh. Finding some length in the torso. On an exhale, start to twist towards the left thigh. Sorry, you're going to hear a train go by. If it is loud, I apologize. My 4-year-old's dream now to have a train in the backyard. This is how, as you're twisting, finding length in the torso. As you find that length, maybe twisting a little bit more into that space. Stretching the left arm up towards the sky. So options here. If you'd like more with the back toes tucked, you can lift the back knee. Making sure the heel is still pointing up towards the sky. Thigh is pushing up towards the sky. And breathing here. Bring the back knee down if it's lifted. Bring the hand down to the mat and step that left knee back to meet the right. Move the blocks to the top of the mat. Hands come down to the mat. Setting up for your modified push-up position. On an inhale, let your torso find some length. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale for low cobra, chest is open. Exhale, push through a table for downward facing dog. Keep pedaling out the feet a bit. Creating some movement. And then letting yourself be still. Hips head up towards the sky. And then on your next exhale, making your way to a standing forward fold, so wherever you need to get there. And on an inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up to standing. Hands down through prayer at heart center. Arms come down by your sides. Grab onto your blocks and bring them to the side of your mat. Have them at the highest height. So coming into Warrior 2 now. So letting your feet walk out wide. So your feet will walk out wide. If you hold your arms out to a T, your wrists should be roughly above your ankles. It's kind of hard to gauge, but if you try it, you'll kind of get the gist. So let your hands come to your hips. Starting with the left side, we'll point the left toes towards the back of the mat. So your left heel intersects with the right arch. Start to bend deeply into that left knee. Knee falls over the ankle. Imagine there's a block to the outside of the thigh. Push that thigh away. Good, the torso stays lengthening up. Inhale, arms come out to a T. Shoulders relax, chest is nice and open. And then bring your gaze over the middle finger of the left hand. Maybe noticing a difference from being on the ground doing these Warrior 2 poses versus up here. Maybe you prefer being on the ground. And adding in our reverse warrior. So bring your left hand to the hip, your right hand to the hip. Left palm flips up, find some length, and then exhale, reverse your warrior. And as you're reversing back, keep bending into that front knee and opening up. So pushing that imaginary block away. And with the right hand, maybe extending it down the back thigh. And then inhale, bring it back, Warrior 2. Hands come to the hips, straighten the front leg. Parallel the feet. You're gonna toe in your toe heel, your feet in slightly. And then bring your heels in, toes will point out. Hands will stay on the hips for now. On an exhale, you're gonna bend into both knees. Knees are over the ankles. Same idea of pushing the thighs away. Imagine the blocks on the outer thighs pushing the way. This is Goddess Warrior Squat, or are there any men doing it? God squats. It's letting your hips sink down, torso lengthens up. So same idea with the lunge, making sure your pelvis is tilted in a nice even way. So you're not letting your tush head back, or you're not letting your torso head back with your stomach hanging forward. So finding that nice happy medium, finding length in the torso, arms come up to goalposts. Good, palms face one another and sink it down. Make sure there's no gripping in the toes. And breathing here. And release the hands right above the knees. Let the left shoulder drop down. Look over the right. And as you look over the right, maybe push that left thigh away. Come back through center. Let the right shoulder drop down. Look over the left. You can push the right thigh away. We'll do that one more time on each side. The left shoulder drops down. Look over the right. Push the thigh away. Back through center and switch. Push that thigh away. Look over the shoulder. Inhale, come back through center. Hands to the hips. Straighten the legs. Parallel the feet. So the block should be directly in front of you. Hands will start on the hips. Chest is nice and open. On an exhale, hinging from the hips. Begin to fold forward, bringing your hands to the blocks. Make sure that they're shoulder width. So the goal here is not how low you can go, it's how flat you can keep your back and how nice of a stretch you're getting in your hamstrings. So enjoying that. And relieving any tension there may be in the jaw or in the shoulders. And with your hand grounding down on the blocks, starting to play with the weight distribution in your feet. So we each have our tendencies of either hanging a little bit more in the toe ball mound, a little bit more in the heels. So kind of swaying back and forth between the two. And then eventually finding a nice happy medium. So grounding down evenly in all four corners. And then letting your hands come back up onto your hips, give a good bend to the knees, and inhale, pull yourself up. Coming to Warrior Two on the other side now. So checking the width of your stance again. You may have to toe heel your feet out a bit. Hands come out to a T. Just see if the ankles are roughly underneath the wrists. Then bring your hands to your hips, this time pointing the right toes towards the front of your mat. The right heel intersects with the left arch. Hips stay facing the side of your mat. On an exhale, start to bend deeply into that right knee. Knee falls over the ankle. Imagine that block is on the outside of the thigh. Push that thigh away. Find some length in the torso. Arms come out to a T. Shoulders relax back and down. Gaze comes over the middle finger of the right hand. Let the left hand come to the hip, right palm flips up, finding some length in the torso and then reversing your warrior. Maintaining the legs just as they were in Warrior Two, so bending deeply into that front knee, pushing that imaginary block away. Maybe letting that left hand slide down the thigh as you head back for a reverse warrior. Keeping that left shoulder relaxing. And then inhale, back Warrior Two. Hands come to the hips, straighten the right leg. Parallel the feet. Then toe heel them in slightly. Coming to Goddess Warrior Squat again. So heels in, toes out. Hands on the hips for now. Exhale. Sinking down, warrior, or Goddess Warrior. Good, so keeping the nice level pelvis. Imagine those blocks on the outsides of the thighs squatting down. So you can keep your hands on your hips or bring them back up to goalpost, palms face one another. And sinking down. So the last one. Maybe smiling or laughing. I used to have a student that would throw things at me to be funny whenever I did these poses. So you could throw an imaginary thing at me if you'd like. Maybe sink a little bit deeper for the last few breaths. And then let the hands rest right above the knees. Let the left shoulder drop down, look over the right, and as you do that, maybe push that left thigh away. Inhale, come back through center. Let the right shoulder drop down, look over the left, and maybe push that right thigh away. Inhale, center, one more on each side. Left shoulder drops down, look over the right, push the left thigh away. And switch, right shoulder down, look over the left. Maybe push the right thigh away. And inhale back through center, hands to hips, straighten the legs, parallel the feet. Coming back to a wide forward fold. So with the hands on the hips, chest is nice and open. On an exhale, hinging from the hips, fold forward, hands come back down to the blocks. So just like the other side, it's not how low your torso can get or how close to the floor your hands can get. It's how long you can keep your spine and how evenly you can ground into both or all four corners of the feet. So grounding down evenly, finding length in the spine, breathing into the backs of the thighs. Relieving any tension that there may be in the shoulders or the jaw. And give a bend to the knees, hands come back up onto the hips. Inhale, bring it up. Give another good bend to the knees and either jump your feet together or walk them together. Grab onto your blocks, bring them to the top of your mat at the highest height, shoulder width. Come to behind the blocks, feet or hips width. Inhale, arms stretch up. Exhale, hinging from the hips, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, give a good bend to the knees, hands to the blocks. Step one foot back. Bring the knee down, and then the other. Move the blocks off to one side. Hands come down to the mat. You're going to make your way to either a child's pose, sitting the hips all the way back to the heels, or coming to puppy dog pose. So hips will stay where they are. Hands will walk forward. And then you start to let your hands walk forward as your chest melts, getting a nice stretch all along the spine. So going wherever you need to be and breathing there. And then inhaling, come back up to a tabletop position. You're going to make your way to a seat. So there's no graceful way. So just come to a seat. If you'd like to sit on the edge of a blanket, I recommend that. Makes your hips a little more elevated. So I'm going to do that myself. So never sit right in the middle of it. Sit right on the edge. If cross-legged feels good for you, rock that out. If not, you can let your legs extend. So go wherever you need to be. If your legs are crossed, flex your feet. Good. wherever you are, move the flesh from your sits bones. Feel your sits bones grounding down. We're gonna have our blocks in front of us if you're cross-legged. If not, don't worry about it. So that'll be for later. So with your sits bones grounding down, chest is nice and open. Let the left hand come down by your side. Right arm lengthens up. And on an exhale, start to bend to the left, relaxing that left shoulder. Inhale, come up through center, stretch both arms up. Let the right hand come down by your side. Find some length in the left. And on an exhale, bend to the right. Relaxing the right shoulder. And then inhale, let both arms stretch up. Hands come down by your sides. So using the blocks, so I'll give the cross-legged version first. So if you're cross-legged, the blocks are at medium height. You're gonna let your chest be nice and open and start to hinge forward. So your hands will start on your knees. They may stay there the whole time. So you're gonna start to hinge forward. Maybe bring the hands to the blocks. Just lifting the floor up a little bit towards you. Starting to inch your hands forward, just coming into a fold. And as you're folding forward, keep grounding down in the sits bones. And if as you're doing that, you feel yourself rounding, just back off the blocks and maybe stay on the legs. If your legs are extended, you're gonna stretch your arms up. On an exhale, hinging from the hips, reach past your toes. The goal is not to touch the toes. Reach past the toes, hinging forward, and then let the hands rest wherever they may rest. It can be your calf, it can be your thighs, doesn't matter. So just enjoying whatever fold you may be in and breathing there. Letting go of the chatter of, oh, I can't reach my hands farther in the cross-legged, or oh, I can't reach my toes. It's okay, just be where you are. And wherever you are, slowly inching your hands back, letting the arms stretch up towards the sky, and then exhaling down through prayer at heart center. And then namaste. And if you ever have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you enjoyed your class. See you next week. Bye.